everybody, welcome. I'm Toyos, welcome. So basically, in this 1 in 4 reading, this can be for a tarot card reading for Leo for July 12th to July 16th of 2025. So basically, in this reading about for a Leo, whether if you're a female Leo or a Leo as a man or a woman, this is going to be for eventually what's going to be happening to what's going on. Basically for this is the way how it goes. This is how it's going to be in that way about how it's going to be. And when it's very intense, it's going to be very intense indeed. So we have to understand that the outcome is the way of what's going to prevail of how it's going to be. Because we have to understand what's going on in this whole entire format. It's no matter what it takes in that priority, you have to understand about how it is, right? You have to know about the priority of how it is, and you have to know what it seems to be. You have to know about how you're going to have your own guidelines, your own ability, your own from the right and wrong perspective, but it's all you can do. But the way how this is, the way how it's going to be, how it seems to be, you have to do exactly what you're told to do. You have to be responsible. You have to know how it feels. You have to know what it takes. You have to know exactly what it is. So you have to know exactly from the way it happens, from left, right, and center, and when you believe about what's going on, you know what it takes. You know what's going on. You know that you're going to gravitate and do exactly how it is, right? So it's like you have to believe in order to see it in a different point of view, because whether you are having a good day, a bad day, whether it, how it is, you have to know exactly how it is, and you have to balance it out, and you have to know that you need about having your own priorities, and you have to know the truth, and you have to know what's going on, right? So it's like how you're going to be in the right moment, and exactly how it's going to be in that way, right? We have to believe in what's going on, and we have to understand that, right? So you have to know exactly what's happening in that way, because you have to know what's going to be in that satisfactory, and that's the way it kind of ends up being, right? So you have to know exactly what it is in that way, and you have to know exactly how it's going to be. So this oracle card, it says, blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. Yeah, so, whether it happens, whether you're going to be blaming your own energy, or whether you're going to be blaming about what's going on in that way, and, the way how it is, right? So you have to understand that if you be responsible on how you're feeling, you have to know what it takes. You have to know how you're going to get involved and what have you. But you have to believe that when you have blame, you could be blaming yourself, maybe you're blaming about what's going on, the way how it is, right? And you have to understand that. Because this is a way of knowing what to do, and you have to understand that. That's the way how it kind of occurred. And that's the way it is, right? This is like almost a rebound. But the way how this is, you have to pay attention on how you're feeling in that way. This is the way it happens, and you have to know what it takes in that way, right? So you have to do exactly what you're told to do, and you have to be responsible on how you're feeling, So that's how it is. So, without further ado, without any question, you have to understand what it takes in that way, because that's the way it kind of does in that format. You will see the cards eventually. So this is kind of what it is, and you have to know exactly what it seems to be. So here we go. So this is a very gigantic reading. It's huge. The Empress is upright because you have nourishment. You're being nourished. You're being satisfying. The Tower reverse, there's no transformation, nothing yet, because everything is not changing yet. The Ten of Swords does represent conclusions, like you don't know why you're having all these conclusions, why you're going to be doing this, why you're going to be doing that, because you have to face your own originality. That's how it is, right? You have to believe that you can do it in the way how you're feeling, the way how you're going to have your impulse, whatever it is, and you have to understand that. That's the way it goes. The Four of Wands does represent you might be going to a wedding, maybe you might be not. You know how it is. So you could be dealing with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. You could deal with another basically you might be dealing with another Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. You might be dealing with another Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You know you know what it takes, right? So that's how it is. That's what the Four of Wands. The Five of Wands does represent chaos. You know, I don't know why you're having chaos, but you know that's the way it goes. Because you have to figure out what the left, right, and center in that situation. Because that's the way it seems to be. You have to know exactly how it is. It's like, okay, this is a pressure point that I need to do. And when you do that, that's the way it kind of happens. Because you have to know exactly what it takes, and you think, okay, well, I know what to do, I got this, but then it's like, how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to reveal how it is. That's the way it goes. The Seven Wands reversed, it means that there is no resilience. You're not feeling like there's, you know, I'm not going to have resilience, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to, you know, do how it is, because this is the way it goes, right? So you have to understand that you're trying to do exactly what it takes, and you have to know what it is in that format. The Ace of Pentacles is upright. It does represent prosperity. It represents about money in that way. You're going to maybe give back. Maybe something's going to reimburse you. I don't know. But the way how this is, you have to remember that when you do exactly what you're told to do, you have to be responsible on how you're feeling in that way, right? You have to be specific on how you're doing in that way, right? That's how it is, right? So you have to know about the basics because you know what it takes, right? That's the way it kind of goes, and you have to know exactly how you're going to be doing in that way. It's like, okay, this is the way it seems to be. Alright, I got this, but then this is the way it goes, right? So you have to understand how it works in that way, right? So let's see what's going on, and I'm going to see what it kind of is in that moment, because this is just the way it kind of goes, and you have to know what it is in that way, and you have to know exactly how it is. So I know that these cards want to come out, so you know, for instance, I'm going to look at the Two of Pentacles is upright. You have the Seven of Pentacles is upright, okay, and the Queen of Swords is upright. So it does represent where you have your there's more of your knowledge. It could be where you might be having your own independence. Maybe it could be that, I don't know. But you have to understand about how it is. The Seven of Pentacles does represent your career, because you're focusing about what you're going to be doing in that way. You're thinking about, okay, this is the way it goes. The Two of Pentacles does represent where you're balancing two things at once. You know, you're balancing, that's the way it goes, and that's the way it happens. So you have to know exactly how it takes in that way. What's happening between this Queen of Swords and this Tower here? The Four of Cups reversed, the Hierophant reversed, but the Lovers is upright. Yeah, so it does represent where you have no distraction here yet, but then you have no guidance. But then you have Lovers is upright, where you're making decisions, right? So when you have conclusions, when you have decisions, you pay attention on how you're feeling in that way. It's like, okay, I know what to do. Alright, I'm going to exactly how it seems to be. I know what to do. That's how it goes. What's happening with this Seven of Pentacles to this Five of Wands here? Three of Pentacles reversed, there's no excitement. The World reversed, there's incompletion. The Page of Wands is upright. So you'd be looking for an invention. Maybe it could be that. Maybe you want to be an inventor. I don't know. But then you have to know exactly what it is in that way. It's like why you're doing it. Why you're going to be focusing about what you want and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, right? If you have the authority about having a blame, or you're not paying attention to why you're feeling like that, because that's how it goes, right? That's the way it seems to be. You have to know what it takes in that way, right? You have to have your own valuation of how you're feeling. That's the way it goes. What's happening between this Seven Wands here? The Five of Pentacles is upright, yeah, because you're looking for money. Like you're looking for about giving back of money, or maybe you're gonna have reimbursement. That's the way it goes. Because in that theory, based on that, this is the way it kind of is in that moment. You have a nick of time of knowing what to do, right? It's like, okay, this is the way it seems to be. I know what to do, but then this is the way it kind of happens in that way. So what's happening between between the left side. So I'm gonna see what's happening on the left side. So we have the Temperance card is on the left side, right? Because you're healing about something. What's on the right side, please? The Death card is upright because you have endings. Right? What's in the middle? The Human reverse. So there's no restrictions. Okay, not yet. Alright, so in theory, you have basically what you need to be, because you have to understand what's going on in that way. And you're thinking, okay, well, this is going to be how it is. I'm going to have my own drastic measures of knowing what to do. That's the way it goes. What's happening with this Temperance card? The Lovers reversed, followed the Justice reversed, followed the Judgment reversed, followed with the Hangman is upright. Yeah, so you have restrictions. You're being restricted about what to do, what not to do. That's how it goes. The Justice is reversed. You're not telling the truth. You know, I don't know why that you're lying. I don't know. But the way how this is, not to be mean to every single Leo who's out there, whether it's a man or woman, okay? The way how this is, whether you are telling the truth, you're basically about that. But when you have the blame, you're blaming about something. You're blaming that there was something that was wrong in that way. It's like, why are you doing it? Why are you picturing it? Why you are having all these misunderstandings? You know, that's how it goes. So let me clarify this card about the Justice on the left, on your left side, on this side. So let me see what's going on here. The Emperor is upright, so you have structure, but then the Wheel of Fortune reversed, you're having bad luck. Yeah, because the way how this is in that way, you need to understand what is in that way. You need to face your own reality about knowing what to do and think, okay, well, I know what to do, I got this, but then how I can do it, how I can reverse it, how I'm going to have this own chain of reaction. I don't know. But you know what I mean, right? The way how you're feeling is the way it goes. So you have to understand what it seems to be in that way, right? So that's how it is. So you understand what's going on from that way, because you need to understand that if you're telling the truth, you know what it is, but when you just reverse, you're having structure, alright, but then you have the Wheel of Fortune reverse because you're having bad luck. Yeah, because things are not going as planned, you know, and that's how it is. You have to know exactly how it is in that way, and thinking, why are you doing it? Why that there are things are not going as planned? It's like, why? Because that's how it seems to be, right? So you have to understand that. What's this Hangman here? The Hero of Reverse, you have no guidance. The Strength card, you're having bravery. Yeah, so when you have no guidance, it's like why you are, understand that why you're not having guidance, because you don't need it. But the way how this is like when you have the Strength card, that's represent Leo, another Leo sign here. Basically it means that when you have Strength card, you have bravery, right? Because that's the way it goes. When you have bravery, you know what it is, and you're being brave, right? You're trying to figure out what's going to be happening in that way, because you have to face it, right? You have to face it with respect, honoring, that's the way it goes, and that's how it seems to be. The Death card does represent Scorpio as a water sign, but let's see what's going on with that card, please. The Fool is upright, there's change. Magician reverse, you have no skill. But the Devil is upright, there's basic obsessions, addictions, I have no idea why. But in theory, it's like, why are you doing this? Why you are taking a chance of that reality? You could be sticking with another Capricorn in that way, because it's like, why are you doing it in that way? It's like how you're going to think about what's going on in that perspective, because that's the way it goes, right? You have to think about what's going on in that way and thinking, okay, well, this is the way it goes, alright, but this seems to be, right? So what's happening with this Wheel of Fortune here? The Stars is upright, yeah, because you're going to have inspiration, like, because you're wishing upon something, you're worshiping about what's going to happen now in that way, right? So it's like, when you have the ability from the right and wrong perspective, it's like, why you understand what you're feeling, because you have to figure out what's happening in this way. If you're thinking that you have good emotions, you pay attention. If you're having bad emotions, it's like, why you're having this, because this is the way it seems to be. So you have to understand that the way how this is, you have to pay attention on how it goes, because this is the way it seems to be. So let me go from the middle to the right, middle to the left. So I'm going to see a little bit differently. So the sun comes reverse, the sun can reverse, yeah, because you're in negativity. The 2 pentacles upright, you're balancing. 3 pentacles reverse, there's no excitement. The hierophant reverse, you have no guidance. The hermit reverse, you have no soulmate, or maybe you had a soulmate, maybe. But the strength card is upright, yeah, because you're having strength, right? So it's like the way how this is, whether if you're in between negativity, you know how it is, but you're balancing 2 things at once. You're balancing because you're being balanced, you know, because this is how it is. It's like, why are you feeling like this in that way? And you think that, okay, well, I don't want to have a target on my back. I don't want to do this. I don't want to bite the bullet. I don't want to think about what's going on, because that's how it is in that way. It's like how you're going to be doing it in that way, right? So this is not a pressure point. This is the way of how it is. This is like almost a reality, you know. You have to understand what it seems to be in that way. What's between the middle and the left side? The high priest is upright, you're going to use your voice. Justice, judgment reverse, you're not taking action. 6 pentacles is upright, there's kindness. The chariot reverse, there's no progress. Justice is upright, you're telling the truth. Yeah, because that's the way it goes, right? So whether you're not telling the truth, but then you're telling the truth at the same time. If you have kindness, you're having kindness. You're being kind. You're being respectful. You're being who you are. That's why it is. You have to do exactly what I told you. But when you're in negativity, it's like, why you're having this? Why? Because that's how it seems to be. That's the way how it goes in that way, right? So what's in the middle of this situation? There's no decisions. The hangman reverse, there's no restrictions. The Knight of Pentacles is right because you have trust. Yeah, the way how this is. So you have to understand. Excuse me. You have to understand of what's going on in that way, right? That's the way how it is. And when you do that, you have to face your own abilities from the right and wrong perspective. You know, that's how you can do. But then the way how this is, you have to fight your own emotions. Maybe that could work, I don't know. But then you have to understand of how it is. So let's see what the universe is saying here. Let's see what the universe is saying here. So I'm going to go from the middle to the left, middle to the right. So 6 cards reverse, there's no past. The judgment reverse, there's no action. 5 cards right, there's grief. Magician right, do you have skill? 5 pentacles right, there's insecurity. 7 swords reverse, there's no deceit. The Queen of Swords right, there's independence. Yeah, because you're showing your independence, right? You're showing about how it's going to be in that way. It's like, okay, I know what to do. I got this. But then you have to know exactly how it's going to end up being in that way, right? So you know what's going on in that way, right? So this is what it seems to be. From the middle to the right side, please. The 2 of Swords reverse, so you already know which way you're going to go to. The 3 of Swords reverse, there's no heartbreak. 4 of Swords, there's celebration. The 2 of Swords, you're planning on something. Yeah, you're going to plan on what you're going to be doing next, right? So that's how it is. So you could be doing it in a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You do it in a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You're doing it in Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. You're doing it in a Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. So you could be doing with whatever I decide about what's going on with these zodiac signs in your reading, because that's how it seems to be in that way. What's in the middle? You have justice of right. Yeah, you're telling the truth. Yeah, because the way how this is going to be who you are in that way is like how you're going to end up as it is, right? So you have to know exactly what it seems to be. But before I let you all go, you have to pay attention on what's happening in that way. You have to know exactly how it goes in that way, but this is how it seems to be. So I hope you all like this video. Please get a like, please get a comment and enjoy, because this is the way it seems to be. And you have to know exactly how it is, right? You have to know how you're feeling, how it is, and this is the way it seems to be. So this is the way it goes. But you have to understand of what's going on, right? So I hope you all like this video. Please give a like, please comment, enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, and bye.